Mediocrity is a choice escaping. You ever feel like you're stuck in a loop, waking up, going through the motions, but deep down, something's missing? That little voice inside whispering, there's more to you than this. I know that ache in your soul when you realize you settled for a life far smaller than the one you were meant to live. This ain't about talent. This ain't about luck. This is about choice. And every single day, you're either choosing growth or you're choosing comfort. You're either choosing greatness or you're choosing average. That's the real deal. See, I didn't wake up one morning and find myself successful. I chose it. I chose the grind. I chose the setbacks. I chose to keep going even when every part of me wanted to quit. That's what separates the people who rise from the ones who stay stuck. It's not ability, it's mindset. And the truth is, mediocrity doesn't knock on your door and introduce itself. It creeps in quietly when you stop dreaming, when you stop pushing, when you stop believing you were built for more. I've seen how life pulls people into routines that numb their potential. You stop chasing your goals because fear whispers lies into your ear. You doubt your ability. You feel like a fraud. That fraudulent feeling eats you alive. It tells you you're not good enough, that your dreams are too big, that your best days are behind you. But let me tell you something straight, every ledge and you admire had that same voice in their head. They just didn't let it win. The truth is, comfort zones are the breeding ground for mediocrity. That space where everything feels familiar, predictable, safe. That space is a trap. Because while it might feel good in the short term, it robs you of your future, and you can't create a legendary life while clinging to what's comfortable. You gotta step into discomfort. You gotta be willing to fail. You gotta overcome fear with bold action. And I get it, it's hard. The world is loud with distractions, negativity, opinions that try to shrink your vision. But here's the real power. You get to choose what you listen to. You get to decide who you become. And when you start filtering out those negative influences, when you start moving with purpose, everything changes. That's the beginning of personal growth. That's when the universe starts moving with you, not against you. You don't need permission to chase your potential. You don't need applause to pursue your dreams. All you need is a decision to no longer settle, a decision to rise, because mediocrity is a choice. And you, my friend, were never meant to be average. You were designed for impact. You were made for greatness. That's why this isn't just another motivational video. This is a wake-up call, a call to set your goals higher, a call to reset your mindset, a call to commit to the path of entrepreneurship, purpose, and passion, because that's where true success lives, not in the outcome, but in the pursuit. Every step forward is a victory. Every setback is a lesson. Every challenge is fuel. You don't need perfect timing. You need perfect effort. That's what separates you from the masses. That's what makes this the best motivational video you'll hear today. And I'm not saying that because it sounds good. I'm saying it because it's real. Because I've lived it. Because I've seen the other side of average. And I'm telling you, it's not where you belong. You see, people ask me all the time, well, what's the secret? They think success is some magical formula locked behind a vault only a few people get access to. But here's what they don't realize. The real secret is boring. It's showing up every day. It's building discipline when motivation runs dry. It's doing the work even when nobody's clapping for you. It's not flashy, but it's powerful. And if you can understand this now, you're already ahead of most people walking this planet. What most folks don't understand is that success doesn't start with skill, it starts with a decision. A real, unshakable decision to break free from mediocrity, That's what makes the difference. Not talent, not resources, not even connections, it's the mindset. It's saying to yourself, I'm no longer available for average. That's the moment your whole life shifts. Now, let me tell you something that's going to stick with you. Life is always going to test you before it rewards you. You're going to hit wall. You're going to fall flat on your face. People are going to doubt you. And worst of all, you're going to doubt yourself. But here's the truth: setbacks aren't signals to stop. They're signals to rise higher. They're the universe's way of checking how bad you really want it. So don't curse the struggle. Learn from it. Embrace it. Because that's where your character is forged. That's where your greatness is born. Let me break it down even further. Your growth is in direct proportion to your willingness to be uncomfortable. You want personal growth? You want success motivation? Then get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the territory where real change happens. That's where psychology facts become experience, not just quotes you post on social media. You want to overcome fear, then walk straight into it. Because fear is just a smoke screen. The closer you get to your breakthrough, the louder fear screams. That's how you know you're moving in the right direction. People are living with this quiet desperation, going through life feeling like something's off, but never stopping long enough to ask themselves why. And the answer is this: you've let comfort become your prison. You've let routine replace purpose. You've let the fraudulent feeling convince you that you're not worthy of the life you dream about. But listen to me, you are worthy. You've always been worthy. That's park in your chest. That's not your imagination. That's your calling. And I know sometimes you look around and you don't feel inspired. You see people just surviving, not thriving. You see negative influences trying to drag you into their version of reality. But you gotta hold your vision tighter than their opinions. You gotta protect your dream like it's your life, because it is. If you let small thinkers shrink your vision, you'll spend your entire life stuck in a cage you were born to break out of. That's why this motivational speech isn't just a bunch of hype. It's a reminder that you have the power to reshape your story at any moment. You don't need to wait for a sign. You are the sign. You are the moment. You are the beginning of the change you've been waiting for. That's what the best motivational video should do: not entertain you, but awaken you. Let's talk entrepreneurship for a minute. People think entrepreneurship is just about starting a business. No, entrepreneurship is about ownership. Owning your life, owning your decisions, owning your time, your energy, your value. It's about waking up and saying, I refuse to rent my potential to mediocrity. You don't need a CEO title to start living with purpose. You need courage. You need vision. You need to get up and move even when the path isn't clear. And goal setting, listen, goal setting is more than just writing things down on a piece of paper. It's about anchoring your life in intention. When you set goals, you're not just listing dreams, you're giving your brain a destination. That's how mindset shifts happen. That's how transformation begins. Not with more wishes, but with more direction. Don't let anybody tell you you're too late, that your age is a limit, that your past defines you. That's all noise. You can start today and still build something extraordinary. I've seen people rise from the ashes of their worst seasons and create legacy-level impact, not because they had it all figured out, but because they refused to let life end in mediocrity. Let me paint you a picture. Think about the people you admire, the ones who inspire you, the ones you watch and think, man, I wish I had that fire. Most of them didn't come from advantage. Most of them came from pain, from doubt, from failure. They just made a different choice. They chose not to quit when quitting was easier. They chose not to shrink when fear was louder than their dreams. They chose not to listen to voices that said, you're just average. That choice, that small, silent, defiant choice, is the difference maker. So if you're hearing my voice right now, I want you to hear this deeply. This moment right here can be your turning point. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need permission. You just need a decision, a choice, a commitment to say, from today forward, I will not live another day trapped in mediocrity. Because mediocrity is a choice, and you've got the power to escape it. Let's dig deeper into something most people never talk about: the cost of mediocrity. I say cost because there's a price you pay when you settle. A price for every dream you ignore. A price for every goal you abandon. A price for every time you choose comfort over courage. And you don't always notice it right away, but it shows up in your energy, in your spirit, in your relationships, in that feeling of emptiness that keeps following you no matter how much you try to distract yourself. See, when you choose mediocrity, you're not just avoiding risk, you're also avoiding growth. You're trading your potential for a paycheck, trading your passion for approval, trading your purpose for routine. And that's why so many people feel stuck. It's not that life doesn't offer them opportunities. It's that they've trained their mindset to play small. They've convinced themselves that playing it safe is being smart. But what they don't realize is that safe path leads to silent regret. You want to know what real pain looks like? It's not failure. It's not rejection. It's waking up one day and realizing you never even tried, that you let fear write your story, that you let the world shrink your spirit, that you let the noise drown your purpose. That's a wound that never fully heals. And too many people are carrying it silently, smiling on the outside, dying on the inside. I need you to understand this: your life is bigger than your current circumstances. Your journey is more powerful than your current challenges. But you've got to want it bad enough to fight for it. You've got to be willing to break out of that comfort bubble and build a new standard for yourself. A new mindset, a new level of personal growth. Because no one's going to hand you greatness. You got to build it, brick by brick, decision by decision, day by day. You know what separates those who make it from those who don't? It's not talent. It's not background. It's not luck. It's consistency, relentless consistency. That's what success motivation is really about: showing up when you're tired, when you're doubting, when you're scared. Because when you're chasing something bigger than you, your motivation isn't just hype, it's responsibility. It's purpose. It's calling. Now, I need you to ask yourself something real. Who are you becoming by the choices you make each day? Who are you becoming by the thoughts you let repeat in your mind? Because psychology facts tell us your thoughts create your reality. Your mindset shapes your destiny. And if you're feeding your mind with limitation, fear, self-doubt, and you're building a life that mirrors those beliefs. But the moment you shift your focus from doubt to discipline, from fear to faith, from weakness to willpower, everything changes. Your environment may not change overnight, but your energy will. Your direction will. And that's how momentum is born. Some people think success is about doing something huge one time. Nah, success is stacking small wins. It's making the right decisions when no one's watching. It's saying no to the distractions that don't serve your vision. It's setting boundaries. It's waking up early. It's reading instead of scrolling. It's reflecting instead of reacting. That's entrepreneurship of the soul. That's real motivation. That's how leaders are built, not just in boardrooms, but in everyday habits. And look, I'm not gonna lie to you, you're gonna have days when everything in you wants to quit. When the path gets heavy, when the setbacks keep piling up, when nothing seems to be working. But that's exactly when you need to dig deeper. Because those hard days, those are the ones that shape you. That's where your story gets powerful. That's where your future self is watching to see what you'll do. You gotta stop seeing failure as the end and start seeing it as the beginning of resilience, the beginning of wisdom, the beginning of grit. You think I got here because everything went right. Nah, I got here because I kept going when everything went wrong. That's what makes a motivational speech worth listening to, not just the highlight reels, but the real reels. The battles behind the breakthroughs, the pain behind the passion. You want the best motivational video experience? Then don't just listen to these words, apply them. Believe them. Let them challenge you. Let them wake something up inside you. Because the truth is, you already know what you need to do. You've just been waiting for permission. But you don't need permission, you need a decision. A choice. A moment where you finally say, I'm done settling. And I promise you this, once you commit, once you really lean in, the world starts shifting. The doors start opening. The people you need start appearing. The energy around you changes. Because you're no longer living by default, you're living by design. And that's where the magic begins. Most people don't even realize the world will always try to define you by your past. It will try to trap you in your old version. But your past is not your prison unless you keep locking the door behind you. Your past is not a sentence. It's a chapter, it's a lesson, it's a foundation, but it's not the roof you're meant to live under. So many people are walking around feeling like frauds. That fraudulence feeling, that imposter syndrome, it's one of the biggest lies your mind can tell you. You start questioning your own gifts, your own worth, your own power, just because things didn't work out the first time. But hear me clearly, one mistake doesn't define you. One failure doesn't erase your value. One setback doesn't mean you don't belong. You were born to grow. You were born to evolve. That uncomfortable space you feel when you're reaching higher. That's not proof you're not ready, it's proof you're stretching. That's what growth feels like. It's not polished. It's not perfect. It's gritty. It's uncomfortable. It's lonely sometimes, but it's necessary. Think about some of the most driven people you know. Not the ones with the flashy titles or the big platforms. I'm talking about those quiet warriors. The ones who kept grinding in the dark when nobody clapped for them. The ones who didn't come from much, but decided to build a life anyway. The ones who made something out of nothing, not because it was easy, but because mediocrity wasn't an option for them. Those are the people who understand what I'm talking about. They didn't let their environment determine their outcome. They didn't let negative influences poison their vision. They didn't wait for motivation to strike, they created it, day by day, action by action. They built their mindset like a fortress, not letting every opinion tear them down. And if you really look at those people, you'll see a pattern. They all had setbacks. They all had moments where quitting looked like the easier road. But they didn't let temporary pain distract them from their permanent purpose. That's where you gotta get your mind locked in, dialed in. Focus not just on what's hard right now, but on who you are becoming through it all. You see, goal setting isn't just about chasing success. It's about training your brain to align with something bigger than the noise around you. You've got to start thinking like a builder, a creator, a visionary. That's the entrepreneur mindset. That's what keeps you going when life gets chaotic. When people doubt you, when the results don't show up overnight, you keep showing up because the goal isn't just the outcome, it's the transformation inside of you. I've seen it so many times. People start strong, full of energy, fired up by a motivational video. But then life hits, bills come due, health problems happen, people leave, and suddenly the fire starts fading. But here's where it gets real. If your commitment is only strong when things are easy, then you're not committed. You're just excited. and excitement fades. But discipline, that lasts, that carries you when nothing else does. So I'm going to challenge you right now, in this moment, to decide who you're going to be when things get hard. Are you going to fall back into comfort and call it being realistic? Or you going to rise into your higher self and call it growth? Because that's the test. That's the defining moment that separates those who talk from those who transform. Let me tell you this, nobody escapes the process. Everybody who's done something meaningful has walked through the fire. And you will too. But that fire isn't there to burn you. It's there to refine you, to shape you, to burn off the distractions, the excuses, the weak habits. So what's left behind is the strongest, clearest version of you. Here's another thing you need to hear: your dream doesn't require perfection. It requires progress. It requires action. It requires belief even when your environment hasn't caught up to your vision yet. You don't need all the answers, you just need to move forward with what you've got. And if you keep moving forward, the answers will meet you on the road. That's the spirit of motivation. That's the heartbeat of personal growth. That's what makes a motivational speech truly powerful, not just the words, but the truth behind them, the energy behind them, the urgency that says, I can't keep living the same year over and over and calling it a life. You've got something in you that the world needs, and it's not going to come out if you keep playing small, if you keep letting fear win, if you keep postponing your greatness until the timing is perfect. Newsflash: perfect timing is a myth. You start where you are, with what you have, and you build from there. That's how real success happens. That's how real legends rise. That's how you escape mediocrity, one choice at a time. Let's talk about fear for a second. Not the kind that jumps out at you in the dark. I'm talking about that quiet fear. That hidden fear. The one that whispers, what if I'm not enough? The one that makes you hesitate, that makes you shrink, that keeps you living under your potential even when something inside you is screaming for more. You know the fear I'm talking about. The fear of being judged. The fear of failing in front of others. The fear of putting yourself out there and not measuring up. But you want the truth. Most people aren't afraid of failure, they're afraid of success. They're afraid of what happens when they actually start winning. Because now it means responsibility. Now it means raising your standard. Now it means you can't hide behind excuses anymore. That's the psychology behind it. That's why so many talented people sabotage their own growth. Not because they're weak, but because they've been conditioned to play it safe. Conditioned to believe that comfort is security. But that's a trap. The real security comes from knowing you can adapt, that you can rebuild, that you can overcome fear and grow stronger because of it. And let me say this clearly, if you want to escape mediocrity, you've got to be willing to disappoint some people. You've got to be willing to outgrow your surroundings. You've got to stop apologizing for evolving, because not everyone around you is going to understand your hunger, your ambition, your vision. But that's not your problem, that's their limitation. This is where personal growth becomes real. When you're willing to walk alone for a season, if it means reaching higher ground. When you stop trying to explain your dreams to people who gave up on theirs. When you stop lowering your frequency just to make others feel comfortable. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. See, the world will try to pull you into average. It will sell you convenience and call it happiness. It will package mediocrity and shiny distractions and call it success. But you've got to look deeper. You've got to ask yourself, am I building a life that fulfills me or just one that looks good from the outside? Because here's the thing, you can build the perfect image and still feel empty inside. You can have a title, a salary, even a following, and still feel like something's missing. That's why you've got to build your life from the inside out, not the outside in. That's the only way to create true success motivation, a life aligned with your soul, not just your social media feed. Entrepreneurship isn't just about business, it's about ownership. Ownership of your time, ownership of your energy, ownership of your choices. And when you take ownership, you take power. That's what I want for you. Not just motivation that fades, but transformation that lasts. You want to build something meaningful. Start by building discipline. Build routines that support your goals. Build habits that serve your future. Goal setting isn't just a task list that's a compass. It's how you remind yourself every day who you're becoming and why it matters. And yet, you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have those moments when your progress feels invisible, when your energy is low, when the journey feels lonely. But that's not failure, that's just feedback. That's the part of the path most people never talk about in a motivational speech, the messy middle. The doubts, the fatigue, the small wins that no one claps for. But trust me, that's where your character is being built. That's where your next level is being formed. Let me give you some straight talk. You can't surround yourself with negative influences and expect to stay positive. You can't keep pouring energy into environments that drain you and expect to thrive. You've got to protect your space, protect your peace, protect your focus, because what you feed your mind will eventually shape your life. And listen, I've been there. I've walked through seasons where I questioned my worth, my direction, my purpose. I felt that fraudulence feeling like maybe I didn't belong in certain rooms. But what I learned and what I need you to hear is that your presence is not a mistake. Your voice is not an accident. Your dream is not random. It's yours for a reason. You've got something in you that can't be measured on paper. Something deeper than credentials and certifications. You've got resilience, you've got drive, you've got heart, and you've got a responsibility to honor that, to grow it, to protect it, because your gift wasn't meant to be buried under self-doubt, it was meant to shine. It was meant to bleed. It was meant to lift others as it rises. This ain't just another motivational video. This is your reminder that mediocrity is a choice and so is greatness. Every single day, you get to decide what side of that line you're living on. And the beauty is, you can choose again. You can rise again. You can build again. That's the power you've always had, and today might just be the day you finally use it. Let's take it deeper now. Let's talk about the mindset you need to carry through the storms. See, a lot of people think motivation is a what-I'm thing. Like you watch a motivational video, feel hyped for an hour, and somehow that's supposed to carry you through the next 6 months of your life. But that's not how transformation works. That's not how greatness is built. You don't just need moments of motivation, you need a mindset that's wired for persistence. You need a system inside your soul that doesn't fall apart every time life throws a punch. That's the psychology facts. They don't teach in school that mental toughness is more valuable than Rhode Island. That emotional discipline is the real secret to personal growth. You want the truth? You will not feel motivated every day. You won't wake up every morning ready to conquer the world. Some days, you'll wake up tired, overwhelmed, questioning everything. And it's in those moments where your habits will either carry you forward or drag you back. Your mindset will either push you to rise or pull you into mediocrity. That's why I say mediocrity is a choice, because it's not about your circumstances, it's about your commitment. You can't keep waiting for perfect conditions. You've got to create progress in imperfect conditions. You've got to make power moves even when the path ain't clear. Because average waits, but purpose acts. And let me be real with you, not everyone is going to applaud your growth. Some people will distance themselves when they see you changing. Some will question your ambition, throw shade on your drive, and try to water down your intensity. But don't let their comforts shrink your vision. You're not growing for approval, you're growing for alignment. You're growing because your soul can't sit in small spaces anymore. There's a moment in every journey where you have to stop looking for external validation and start listening to your internal conviction. That's where real entrepreneurship begins. That's where your personal empire starts getting built, not in applause, but in silence. Not when people see you, but when you see yourself clearly enough to keep going without applause. You think the most successful people didn't feel like quitting. You think they didn't have nights where they questioned if the sacrifice was even worth it. Of course they did. But they kept showing up. They kept walking through the setbacks. They kept rejecting mediocrity like it was poison, because it is. It poisons your potential. It poisons your purpose. It poisons your soul slowly, quietly, until one day you wake up realizing you've been living at 40 when you had 100 in you all along. And I'm telling you, the longer you allow mediocrity in your life, the more it starts to look normal. It becomes the standard, the default setting. You stop dreaming big because you're too busy surviving small. But you were not created for smallness. You were built to expand, to build, to break ceilings. You've got something the world hasn't seen yet, but it won't reveal itself if you keep living on autopilot. That's why you've got to disrupt your patterns, challenge your limits. Stop thinking that because you've never done something, you never will. Every expert started as a beginner. Every ledge and started no. Every empire started with one decision to rise. You don't need a miracle, you need momentum. You don't need luck, you need a mindset. And let me say this loud, success motivation isn't about ego. It's about responsibility. It's about understanding that your gift was placed inside you for a reason. That someone out there is waiting on you to rise. That your breakthrough could be the blueprint that frees someone else. That's what personal growth is really about, not just bettering yourself, but becoming the kind of person who lifts others by example. You want to know what separates the great from the average? It's not resources. It's not even opportunity. It's resilience. It's the ability to rise when everything says stay down. It's the choice to keep moving forward when logic says quit. It's the mindset that says, even if I'm scared, I'm still moving. Even if I'm doubted, I'm still building. Even if I'm alone, I'm still growing. This is your moment. Not a someday fantasy, but a right now decision. That's what this motivational speech is all about. Reminding you that greatness doesn't come from waiting, it comes from working. It comes from pushing yourself when it's uncomfortable, choosing progress over perfection, choosing movement over fear. And if you're still hearing my voice right now, that means something inside you is ready. Something in you is hungry. That's not a coincidence, that's your higher self knocking. That's your inner warrior whispering, let's go, let's rise. Let's stop waiting for a better life and start building one. Because everything you need to escape mediocrity is already in you. The vision, the power, the drive. The question is, will you activate it, or will you keep it buried under old habits and outdated beliefs? Now let's get even more honest. Let's get under the surface, because I know there are people watching this right now who feel stuck. Not because they lack potential, but because they've been told for years that dreaming too big is unrealistic. Because every time they tried to rise, life hit back harder. Because the setbacks weren't just obstacles, they became identities. And I need you to hear me clearly. You are not your setbacks. You are not your failures. You are not your mistakes. You are not the voice in your head that says you're not good enough. That's not truth. That's programming. That's years of internalizing lies from people who never had the courage to chase something bigger. You've got to unlearn the limits the world taught you. You've got to rewrite the narrative that says, this is just the way life is. No, life doesn't shape who your mindset does. Your belief system determines your altitude. And if you want to fly, you've got to upgrade the way you think. That's not just motivation, that's transformation. That's personal growth at its core. And I'll tell you something else, your past doesn't disqualify you from your future. I don't care if you failed 10 times or 20. I don't care if you've been counted out, laughed at, underestimated. In fact, sometimes the most powerful people are the ones who've walked through the deepest pain. The ones who've tasted disappointment but still showed up. The ones who've been broken but rebuilt themselves stronger. There's something special about a soul that refuses to stay down. There's something magnetic about someone who's been through hell and still walks with purpose. That's the energy I want you to move with. Not arrogance, but fire. Not entitlement, but resilience. Not desperation, but destiny. You see, mediocrity thrives where identity is weak. When you don't know who you are, you settle for whatever the world hands you. But when you know your worth, you raise your standard. You stop chasing distractions and start building a foundation. That's why mindset is everything. It's not hype, it's the engine behind every goal-setting strategy, every success motivation journey, every breakthrough you're trying to reach. You've got to become intentional. You've got to train your mind the way an athlete trains their body with focus, discipline, and consistency. That's how you overcome fear. That's how you silence that fraudulent feeling that says you're not ready. That's how you protect yourself from negative influences that want to dim your light because they're afraid of their own darkness. I've seen this in my own life. I've seen how easy it is to get pulled into noise, to get distracted by opinions, timelines, expectations. But I had to choose my path. I had to decide that my life would be built from purpose, not pressure. And that's a decision you've got to make too. A decision that says, I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving. I'm not waiting for permission, I'm giving myself the green light. That's what this motivational speech is really about. Not just lighting a fire, but helping you become the kind of person who keeps the fire burning even when the crowd disappears. That's the real test. Can you keep building when no one's clapping yet? Can you keep growing when no one's watching? Can you stay locked in when everything around you is trying to pull you back? Because most people don't fail because of lack of skill, they fail because they lose focus. They forget who they are. They let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. But you've come too far for that. You've grown too much to go back now. You've seen through much light to settle for shadows. And maybe right now you're still in the process, still in the grind, still facing resistance. That's okay. That's part of the design. Growth isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it's gritty. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it's silent. But trust me, it's worth it. Because every step you take outside of mediocrity is a step into the life you were meant to live. Don't let this just be another motivational video. Let it be your wake-up call. Let it be the turning point where you stop shrinking to fit and start rising to stand out. Let it be the moment where you stop waiting and start creating. Because every breath you take is another opportunity to evolve. Every sunrise is another shot at building something better. And every obstacle is just another invitation to rise higher. You don't need more time, you need more action. You don't need another sign, this is it. You don't need permission, you need decision. Right now, right here, in this moment. Not tomorrow, not next year. To now, mediocrity is a choice, and so is mastery. So is impact. So is legacy. And I don't know about you, but I'm not here to leave behind regrets. I'm here to leave behind results. I'm here to live a life so full, so meaningful, that even my setbacks become stories of strength. Now listen closely. This is the part most people never reach. This is the part where you either lean in deeper or you lean back into the comfort zone that's been holding you hostage for years. But you're still here. You're still locked in. That tells me something about you. That tells me you're not like the rest. You're not just chasing a temporary high from a motivational video. You're chasing something greater. Something lasting is something real. You're chasing transformation. And if you're still with me right now, that means you're ready to break the chains. Not just the chains around your time or your money or your energy, but the chains around your identity. Because once you escape the grip of mediocrity in your mind, no outside force can hold you down again. People talk about success motivation like it's a product you can order and download. But let me tell you what it really is. It's the fire you create from every failure, every rejection, every time someone told you that you weren't enough. It's the art of taking every wound and turning it into wisdom. It's the ability to stand in the storm and say, I'm still here and I'm still rising. And if you've ever felt like an imposter in your own life, that fraudulent feeling that creeps up when you try to step into your greatness, I need you to hear me. That feeling isn't a sign that you're not good enough. It's a sign that you're growing, that you're stepping beyond the version of you that used to play small, that you're entering a new space, and new spaces come with unfamiliar elves. Don't run from that feeling. Face it. Let it fuel you, because nothing great was ever built in certainty. Greatness is born in doubt, in discomfort, in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And here's what most people never understand. Mediocrity is comfortable, but it is not safe. Let me say that again. Mediocrity is comfortable, but it is not safe. Because while you sit still in a life you've outgrown, your potential withers. Your spark dims. Your gifts go untouched. That's the danger. That's the silent tragedy of millions of people dying with their dreams still locked inside them. Not you, because right now you've got the tools, you've got the truth, you've got the power to shift your direction. And you don't need perfect conditions to start. You just need courage. You just need decision. You just need to commit to forward movement, even if it's messy, even if it's scary, even if no one claps for you yet. Forget what the world told you about timing. Forget what they said about waiting your turn. It's your turn now. It's your time now. It's your life, and you don't need permission to live it fully. Let's be clear, this isn't just about money. This isn't just about titles or followers or some highlight real version of success. This is about waking up every day knowing you're becoming the person you were designed to be. This is about setting goals that challenge your limits, not just maintain your comfort zone. This is about entrepreneurship of the spirit, not just starting a business, but starting a movement inside yourself. A movement of discipline, of intention, of legacy. Because once you shift your mindset, once you activate that internal switch, you realize the world doesn't get to define your ceiling. You do. And you stop asking for directions from people who've never been where you're going. You stop allowing negative influences to shape your outlook. You start surrounding yourself with people who push you higher. You start feeding your mind like you feed your body with fuel, not poison. That's why this motivational speech was never about hype. It's about healing. It's about breaking generational patterns of playing small. It's about stepping into rooms your old self wouldn't dare to enter. It's about legacy, not just success. And don't let the noise fool you. Success is not about perfection. Success is about persistence. It's about showing up on the days you don't feel strong. It's about staying focused when distractions scream for your attention. It's about honoring your calling even when it costs you comfort. You've got a gift, a voice, a purpose, And the world needs it not when you feel ready, but now. So let this be your moment. Let this be the spark. Let this be the day you say, no more settling. No more shrinking. No more waiting, because you've got what it takes. You've always had it. You just needed the reminder. Mediocrity is a choice. Escape it. Break the cycle. Burn the excuses. Rewrite the narrative. Step into the next level of who you are. You're not here by accident. You're here to evolve. You're here to rise. And if no one else told you today, I believe in you. I see your greatness. I see your power. Now it's time for you to see it too. So let's make this real. Let's lock it in. Let's carry this energy forward and make sure this isn't just another forgotten motivational video. Let it be the turning point, the awakening, the decision that echoes for years to come. You've just heard the truth. Now live it. We are wisdom recorded your knowledge source. Subscribe, like, and share this message if it spoke to your soul. Because someone else out there needs this fire too. And you're not just a viewer, you're a movement in motion. Keep growing, keep rising, and never forget mediocrity is a choice. Escape it.